Good morning. I see that we're live. So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're coming from. My name is Eleni Sommerschield. I am the COO here at Wise Agent, and I have our good friend and power user, Ellicia Romo, with us today. So thanks for being here, Ellicia.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So Ellicia is a loan originator, recruiter, and coach with Nexa Mortgage. She's also a published author or newly published author, right? And
well, I have been published before in magazines and online. This is my first full-length book.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's super exciting. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book too coming up, but I'm excited to have you here because we're going to be talking about building your real estate business through relationships. And that's one of my, I love talking. I just love talking in general, but but I do love talking about.
We're in good company.
I know we do. We said the other day, we were going to talk for like 15 minutes. It ended up going for like 45. So, but we are today going to go for an hour. But we can talk about this relationship building business that we're all in for a great length of time, because I think there's just so many different ways of doing it. And the way you've been doing it and leveraging Wise Agent to grow your business, grow your sphere, and grow your reach has been a really, has made a difference in your business. And I think it's really going to be something great for our audience to hear, to see how you've been leveraging it. So, and speaking of our audience, if you guys wouldn't mind posting in the chat, I see Sarah's already posting in there. If you guys wouldn't mind posting in the chat, what city, state, and brokerage you're coming from, how many years you've been in the business. I always love seeing that. And I have some travel coming up. So if you guys are going to be, I'm going to be in Vegas on Monday. So for a few days.
Fun.
So I always love seeing where everyone is coming from. So Joanna, New Jersey, welcome.
Morristown, New Jersey. I didn't live that far from there growing up.
Yeah. So Ellicia, I know you've been using Wise Agent landing pages to reach a broader audience, like a broad audience, but also reach your existing audience. I think that is for me, I don't think many people do it for that reason. And I love that you do that, because a lot of times we know a lot of people and we have some partial information on them, or we know them, but we don't, we're not engaging with them all the time. So this is what you've been doing with the landing pages do you want to explain to everyone how you've been using them?
Sure. So a couple different ways. However, I started out primarily using the landing pages to get people to register for an event that I was doing. So I love being face-to-face with people. I love doing events. I love hosting classes. And so I would start it out using the landing pages when I would do a class or an event, getting people to register through the landing page. And it made my life so much easier. Before we had the landing pages, it would be, reply or RSVP, and I'd attempt to keep this list of everyone that replied. And we had, 3 or 4 different people inviting people to events. And it was so hard to keep track of who registered. The landing page makes it so simple, because people all register online. So even if I have 3 or 4 people inviting, all our spheres to the same event, they all register in that landing page. They all wind up in, one category. And then when I want to send out reminders, it's super simple and easy. We could do a drip campaign for reminders so that when they sign up, they get drips leading up to the event. We could do drip campaigns after to stay in touch with people. So it just makes life so much easier. And then I like to text message remind people like an hour before too. And so again, not having to search text who's on my list and texting them individually, it makes it so easy. And then I also use them for open houses. And today, I'm actually at a golf course for a vendor event. And so some of the people, I've invited people to come to this event, and some of the people are going to be people brand new that I've never met.
Yeah. And we were saying, I know. And so literally when she says that she loves doing events, she's literally at an event today, which I love. And you were sharing with Sarah and I earlier today that you actually created a landing page for this event for people that you're meeting and whatnot to fill out a whole entire form. So instead of a little piece of paper right? That you have to end up reading whatever gibberish they're writing, right? You have to end up deciphering that.
Exactly. I don't have to worry about anyone's handwriting. I don't have to worry about what anyone's saying. And I love it. I'm so excited to use it. We're doing a raffle entry. And so we're using it for our raffle entry. And it's going to make life so much easier.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's like a great way of, how agents could use that in their open house. They could use it. I know one of my girlfriends had called me up a while back and she was like, I'm doing this event. It's like a neighborhood event, kind of a meet and greet with different places. She's like, I'd love to have like a sign-in form. Can you help me with that? And I'm like, yeah, here, click here, click on marketing, click on landing pages, use one of the templates, and then just change it out to your brand. And then change the colors and the text. So then when they come, you can use a QR code. They snap a picture, not snap a picture.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I created a QR code from the bit.ly or the web link that your landing page gave me. And then I put the QR code on a flyer I made in Canva and it's on the table. And so people are just scanning the QR code. And you're right, I could totally use this again over and over and over. So, and we're doing it, like I said, it's like a raffle entry for this event. However, I can do this in so many, I love the landing pages. It's one of my favorite features, and I could even take this same landing page and put it on my social media and put it, the link on Facebook or, on LinkedIn, and have people register for things, elsewhere as well. So I'll email out my landing pages when I'm doing it to my sphere, and I'll use my social media. But putting the QR code today, there was a time where I would do the paper raffle slips, leave an event, and have to hand type all the contacts into the system. Now I don't have to type anyone in. It's
right.
amazing.
Yeah. And I want to share with everyone what your, she gave me permission to share what the landing page for today's event. I mean, it could be as simple as this. It's just, just your brand colors, and it's, for this one, it's register to win, but it could be, registered for the open house. And then you get all this and you submit the form. And this really helps getting all of your contacts information in the database, but then also it helps with the segmenting. So you don't have to go in and do any of the data entry, but then also figuring out like, oh, okay, now do I put them in as a homeowner? Do I put them in? How do I source them? How do I categorize them? You can automatically filter all of that in there for just through Wise Agent. So that's the time saver.
I love it. And because this event today happens to be at a senior community, I got to, customize the questions. So normally I wouldn't put the question specific about reverse mortgages. However, because we're at a senior community, it makes sense.
Yeah.
For the next event, I could get rid of that question and put something different.
I love it. I love it. And so then once you get all of this, I mean, we're talking about building relationships. And so with building relationship, at least in my opinion, it's like you've got to know a lot of information about who you're talking to. You have to make sure that you're segmenting your audience, of course, but then whenever you find out some information about them, like right before we got on, I don't know, I dropped something and I hit my keyboard in a weird way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all my fonts are in Greek now. I'm like, I got to change it from, English to Greek. So, right there, I kind of gave you some information that I obviously can write and read Greek, right? That's something that would go into your database. Yeah. So then that's something that you recall, like they're multilingual or whatever it is. And what is that language?
Yeah. So, and I usually set up my landing pages so I get an immediate alert once somebody registers for something. So once I know things about them and they walk away, I could go in, open the notes, and type a note right about them immediately.
Yeah. And I think, and that's the nice thing is like, and I use, cause we use Wise Agent here internally, and I use it a lot for anything that I'm doing. And I use the voice to text, that dictation, because that's like my favorite thing. Sometimes, especially on a phone, I'm like, my nails are too long. I'm trying to walk and type and text all at the same time. But what I do is I use the text to talk feature and or the talk to text feature, and I just can talk in what my notes are. It goes directly into Wise Agent, and that's just there for me for later on down the road, where then I can fill in all the details and whatnot. But because then it's about it's then about going back and seeing who everyone is and following up with them based on the information that you've taken down.
It's all about the follow-up. It 100% all about the follow-up. And that's how you build a relationship. When you meet someone, you don't build a relationship. You build a relationship later on during the follow-up as time is going, reconnecting, reaching out. I'll send emails with questions to get them to reply, to learn more about them. I'll send, text to set up appointments. And so it's all in the follow-up. It's all in getting two-way communication. It's all in the conversation that comes. And the business usually doesn't come in a first meeting. Business comes once people decide they know you, like you, and trust you, right? And so the Wise Agent system totally helps me manage that relationship, build that relationship, grow that relationship, and continue to get to know them. I also take it offline and go to social media. So if I find out they're on another social media platform, I incorporate that in as well.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something to always be mindful of. And I know we've had several different, guests on the series here talk about, be on social at some point. You don't have to be on every single platform, right? But you should be on at least one or two where you're engaging with your database, you're engaging with your contacts, your clients, and even potential clients. And that way that gives them an insight into who you are, because that's important as well. Right? It's not just about you asking the questions to them, but then you kind of leaving some little tidbits and some trails of explaining who you are. Else how are they going to get to know you at all? I mean, really. Exactly.
So I don't know. I live my life and I run my business. I was like, I'm an open book. I'm fully transparent with everything. People that know me, they kind of laugh. They're like, we always know where you are because of your social media. We always know what you're doing. And, I run my business the same way. Everything is transparent. And so, if I'm going to let people get to know me and I'm going to bring down my walls, then often they can feel that. And so then they're willing to also let me get to know them. Right. I feel like if I always separated everything, and had compartmentalized business here, personal here, then you're putting up a wall and people can always feel that, right? And so my clients are willing to let me in and let me learn about their lives, just like I'm willing to allow that with them. Yeah. I actually recently used Wise Agent to reach out to all of my local clients and said, because I have lemon trees, and I used the mass text to say, who wants lemons? I will be delivering them this week. I mean, it was like just a fun interaction, and I had people requesting lemons from me, and I put in there like, they're from the trees in my backyard, just making it more personal. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing, is making sure that you're engaging with them on things that are outside of, are you looking to buy or sell? It's, revealing something more about yourself, but then also allowing them to reveal something about themselves too. So people that you asked if they wanted any lemons, now, like they might even say, hey, I would love some lemons. I'm making I'd love to make some limoncello or whatever it is, right? I'd like limoncello and lemon meringue pie. And then I said, okay, you just have to give me some once it's made. Right. Exactly. But I also love, we talked a little bit, we kind of brushed on the subject of, you're a published author, like with your first book coming out March 16th on Amazon. And the title of the book is Love Your Business, Love Your Life. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I know you have, it's all about, this book is about relationship building. And do you want to tell the audience like a little bit about some of the book and what are some of the things that you're saying in there? Yes, I am so excited to talk about it. So thank you for giving me a platform to do so. I have been working on this book for years. It's been one of those love-hate projects. Love it, work on it, put it away for a while. And so I'm really excited to say it's launching March 16th at 10 a.m. on Amazon. And I have since learned that the first hour of the launch is the most important towards being called a bestseller. Oh, okay. So, but the book is all about building business through building relationships. it's all about, and the title, Love Your Business, Love Your Life, is kind of a little bit like what I said earlier about if I were to compartmentalize, right, business and personal, then sometimes that's when people are like, oh, it's Monday, I have to work, you know? And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like I wake up and I love my business. I love the people I work with. My clients become my friends become my clients. I have a team of loan officers I work with. They're all friends of mine. I'm inviting people to my house that, I know and live near me for my book party. And most of those people have either done business with me or work with me, or in some way, shape, or form, we've shared clients. And so to me, as you build relationships, business becomes fun when you're making business happen between people you like working with. And I have lots of stories in the book through the years when I first started in the industry and I'd just gone through a divorce and I was really struggling, honestly, just all around in life. I had just become a single mom. I was getting out of a dysfunctional marriage. I was struggling financially. And it tells the story of all the things that I learned going from doing things in a way that didn't work, right? And I had good concepts and I wasn't implementing well. And making new friendships because I had to, because I went through a divorce and, friends dissipate, different things happen. And as I was building friendships in the industry, I was also building business and just the trials and tribulations of figuring out what works to get me to where I am today. And so I'm just excited to share the book and release the book. And, I know I'm like in a 180-degree different position today than I was when I started in the industry. And I truly believe it's because I surrendered to, you know, merging my worlds and building through those relationships and the roller coaster of always looking for another deal. My business is so much more sustainable now and it's fun. I don't ever, I had somebody ask me once, how many hours a day do you work? I couldn't answer it because sometimes I'm like, well, was that work or was that play?
I know what you mean. I feel the same way. I mean, and that's kind of the beauty of this business, is that a lot of times you are working and building a relationship with people that you're like, okay, I met them because they wanted to buy or sell a house or whatever, but then you end up getting to know them and they end up becoming really good friends. You end up going to their kids' weddings and their graduation parties and their whatever and everything else. You become immersed in it, into their
I got a
lives.
wedding invitation last week.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks ago, I took some clients to a son's basketball game. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love that, and you're always engaging though. And that's one of the things that I know that you do. I know some of, we've talked, kind of years ago when landing pages first came out through Wise Agent. And one of the things that you wanted to do was say, take your landing page and send it out as an email blast to your existing database, because you wanted to invite them. You're like, well, these are the people I already know. I want to invite them to something. And then I want them to hopefully forward that landing page to somebody else. So then they can attend these events. And so what you were doing is you were really just engaging with them, and like, you get a really good high response rate on your emails and everything else. And you get, getting good follow through for people coming to your events as well, because you're really building those relationships. It's not always just, the only time you talk to them is to invite them to an event. You continuously have those conversations.
Oh yeah. And I use the newsletter that you guys put out, so there's lots of things in between. The more touches, the better, right?
Right.
And and again, it's about, the two-way engagement. It's not just putting things out, but it's asking questions and different things to get people to respond, And so, I do. I love your landing pages and I love you. And I use them for everything. Every event that I do that I have to keep it. If I need an RSVP list, it's coming from a landing page.
That's awesome. And so, what are some of what do you see is kind of like that sweet spot of engaging between, inviting to events and just like various, just random conversations to have, or, so basically how do you build the relationship? How do you balance the personal side of it with the business side of it? Like, do you do 2 personal calls versus 1 business call? Maybe, I mean, do you have a formula like that?
I really don't, because I feel like almost every conversation winds up merging into both. Right.
Mhm.
So I attempt honestly to start it out thinking like, oh, I'm going to do 50-50, just like my social media. I think, okay, 50-50 on posts. Right. However, things just evolve. And so to me, it's more about the natural conversation. I know when I'm calling somebody or I'm emailing somebody or I'm texting somebody, I have an end result that I want to create. But how it gets there, sometimes takes not exactly the straight path,
Right.
right?
It's organic that way, right?
Yes. And I think it
The path
might
always-
honestly go a little bit back to what we said in the beginning. Like, I'm a talker, right? And so sometimes I get in conversation, and honestly, I'm a little ADD, I think, too. So somebody will say something and it'll take me off on a tangent. But then I know I have that, and I start with the end result in mind, the end goal. So even if I go off sideways, I bring it back to make sure I'm getting that end goal. So yeah, and I do attempt to keep it 50-50. However, the conversations are.
Right. And I mean, I think that that's what I do too. I mean, I don't have, there's no formula. At least I've never been able to encounter somebody that can give me a formula. So for our audience out there, that's like, how often somebody's like, how often should I be reaching out to them? And it's like, as often as you feel like is appropriate, right? Because it's kind of like, just trying to figure out that path.
Yeah.
And
So
everyone is everyone's slightly different.
right. When it comes to phone calls, I attempt, if it's a referral partner, I would love to talk to a referral partner weekly, right? At least, at minimum. If it's a past like buyer that I'm reaching out to, that's more quarterly. However, that's on phone calls. When you add in social media, text messages, the newsletter, inviting to events, then it just adds so much into it that when I first started with Wise Agent, it was actually because of 32 Results and Richie Laser. And I was working on the 32 touch system back then. And however, social media came in, and when you add social media into that, like I could do 32 touches in a week.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of, our world kind of became smaller with social media. There's
Yeah.
a lot more interaction and engagement on there. And I think sometimes that can be so broad and so just general that sometimes, and that's okay. But then that's when you get like those text messages, those phone calls, and even those can be kind of in the broad sense, at least. But once you get it where you're segmenting your audience to the point of saying, I'm going to talk to all of the people that are similar in this, because I'm sure everyone out there has, let's say 1,000 people in their database, and they're all either buyers or sellers. So let's say there's a split between 500 each. Like, every buyer is not going to be the same. They're just not the same, right? They're, they're first-time home buyers, they're investors, they're military buyers, they're this or that, the other, families. There's,
and that is the beauty of categories, though, because I mean, if you look at my account, I have an insane amount of categories. And so sometimes I categorize by the event they came to, or, what was that interest? And like the question that you showed on today's landing page is about reverse mortgages. So they'll go in a reverse mortgage category. So sometimes I'll send something to all past buyers or all prospective buyers. And then sometimes, like, there's recent news, right, for FHA loans that the mortgage insurance, the Fed is dropping that, the cost on that, right, the basis points. So that's great news to first-time home buyers that are in that prospective buyer category that haven't bought yet. So I could send that out as news today. And another thing I love to do to make it personal, I love that you guys incorporate where I can put my YouTube videos into my emails. And it's funny that I say that. And if Richie Laser is watching this, he'll be cracking up because he practically had to force me to do the first video I did. I don't even know when it was when I first started my Wise Agent account. I think we looked it up. It was like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
However, now that's a great feature because then I get to put my personality in it. And so
Right.
now it's not just an email, it's a human personal touch. So I can create a video later today about the mortgage insurance rates dropping, making it more affordable for FHA first time home buyers, and put that out in an email or in a
Yeah.
text, upload it to YouTube and multi-purpose it. And
Right.
I love that feature.
Yeah, I love that too. And you know what, I love what you just said is that you have that personal touch. It seems more personalized because it's a video. It's actually you talking, so they can hear the inflection of your tone, see your face, see your smile, and your, you know, the energy that you have about you. And then they get to get an insight like, oh, I can work with her. This is the energy that I'm like, yes, I like this. And that really resonates with people. Video does convert a lot higher than just plain text, most definitely. And then adding that in is just another component of how you just reach out to people. When again, and you said you can repurpose it, so you can take a snippet of it and you know, and send it out. And typically, how long are your videos that you're like emailing out?
So I vary. Sometimes I do a long form that will go up on YouTube in long form, and it'll be sometimes a little longer if I'm attempting to explain or teach something. It
Mhm.
might go 3 to 4 minutes, sometimes even 5 because I'm long-winded. However, if I know that I want to repurpose it on social media and use it like a reel or a short, now I'm keeping it 60 seconds or less. So that way, YouTube shorts are getting bigger and bigger, I'm getting a lot of traction on those. So if I send it out in a video and it's 60 seconds or less, however, my first end result is, what do I want when I'm emailing it? Who am I emailing it to? What do I want them to know? So if it's longer than that minute, and then I'll put it up as a long form video. But if it's a minute or less, I repurpose it as a reel and as a YouTube short.
Yeah, I love that, because again, it's about saving yourself time and money and energy. You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. If you already have recorded something,
Right.
just use it everywhere you can. So then you get your kind of bang for your buck on that.
Exactly. No need to waste time and reinvent the wheel ever, ever, ever.
I love that. And so I know you use our lead rules with the landing pages. You have like a lead rule system already put in place, and you get notifications. You mentioned you put them on a drip campaign. Do you also do use the drip campaigns that we provide? I know that we were talking about that
I
yesterday.
do.
You were saying,
Yeah.
because I was even curious on that, for you. I was like, okay, are you using the ones that we provide? Or you what are you
I
what are you
tweak them a
writing?
little bit. And so I love that even though they're, preset, we can still customize it. So
Yeah.
I use yours as like a base foundation. And like I think we were talking when we discussed it about doing the landing pages for open houses. So I
Mhm.
have people register at the open house with, the QR code on the flyer, and then they register, it puts them into Wise Agent. I actually also have them get an immediate text message and an immediate email. And so when I'm in front of them, I'll know, like, oh, did you get my text? Okay, great. Will you check if they have email on their phone? Will you see if you got the email too? Because it might have went to your spam. And I make sure that they're getting that contact right then and there, right in front of me. So if they put that information down, it's, something must have went wrong, right?
Yeah.
And they'll go fix it, whatever. However, then for the follow-up, at an open house, I think it's the 6 buyer campaign that we use. And some of the things it's meant, now I'm a loan originator. It's written very obviously, you guys are more geared towards realtors, so it's written in a realtor format.
Right.
So I go tweak a word or here or two where it says like, your agent, I might change it to loan originator or mortgage loan officer or whatever. Or if some of the open houses, because obviously I'm not doing them by myself, I'm doing them with a realtor and we're co-branding it. So I use make a new signature line specifically for those drip campaigns. And then where it says I change it to we. You know what I mean? So little tiny tweaks where I add mortgage in there or I change I to we.
Yeah.
However, I feel like for the most part, those campaigns are very well written. And so again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. Like you guys are my base, and I just read it and I change 5 to 10 words and make sure I have a customized signature line.
Yeah. And that's really key. I'd love to hear from our audience, if you guys wouldn't mind posting in the chat, like, are any of you doing any open houses with a lender or with another partner of yours? I'd love to see that in the chat if you guys wouldn't mind doing that, or just even using the raise hand button down by the on Zoom. I think that would be interesting, because that is another great way of doing, opening up your sphere. So can you tell us a little bit, Ellicia, how you partnered up with some of the agents that you know to host these co-hosted open houses?
Okay, and I'm noticing some of the things in the chat. A few people are saying they're not currently working with a loan originator. I want to highly encourage you to do that, because there's multiple reasons. First, number one, of course, there's safety in numbers. So if you're not alone, you're going to be safer at your open house. But the second reason, like you're saying, open up your sphere, right? Like I will invite people to the open house just like the realtor will. Or sometimes we'll door knock the neighborhood together before the open house to invite people to the open house. So it gets safety, it brings more people, and then the follow-up. So when we do the drip campaign, that's a piece of our follow-up. However, we each commit to reach out to, all the people that came in individually as well. And you never know. And again, another thing with Wise Agent, right? I keep the source. So I put the source of where I met them, and I know which realtor I connected with them. They might be ready to buy a house 6-8 months down the line. Well, the landing page and putting them in as a source tells me what realtor I met them with, to make sure that realtor is getting that deal down the road. Because how often do people leave an open house and 6 months later remember the name of the realtor they met at that open house? I mean, a lot gets lost there. So it's dual power on follow-up. It's dual spheres for invites. I also think that a lot of people forget to ask the sellers to invite their friends, families, and neighbors to come to the open house as well. And, that's, you could send out that invite ahead of time. And, again, use that landing page ahead of time. Have people pre-register for the open house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because then you know what you're expecting. Do you need to have somebody else to help you with the show, with the showings and the touring of everything. So
right. I mean, sometimes open houses get really, really busy. And if the realtor needs to be, showing something in a bedroom or in the backyard, I'm greeting people at the door as they're coming in. Right. And so, we tag team through that. Yeah. It makes it. And again, going back to like the title of my book and loving what you're doing, right? Love your business, love your life. In my opinion, it is so much more fun to sit with someone than sit alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But then I love that you, so then you have the open house landing page up on a tablet or something, or a computer. You can also even have the QR code.
Yes. So before QR codes, and it's funny, I feel like QR codes made like a second birth.
I always loved them. I've always
when they first came out, I was so excited about it. And I was like working for a magazine company at the time, and I was talking to all the realtors about putting QR codes on everything, and they kind of died, and then they came back, right? And so before the QR codes came back, I would bring my laptop, my iPad, let people sign in from there. However, now it's more often it's the QR code. I'll have my laptop and iPad there. Most people, though, when you're in an older community, they're not as adept. So I'll just give them the computer and I'll go, here you go, just type it on here. Right. However, for the majority of people, they're doing it on their phone, especially after like the COVID stuff. People don't always want to touch other people's stuff anymore. Right. They don't want to touch your pen. They don't want to touch your computer. Okay, great. Use the QR code and do it right on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And then, and I know when we talked a couple of weeks ago, I know that you were saying like you have an agent that also uses Wise Agent that you work with on these open houses. Mm-hmm. And we just recently helped you guys set up as outside team members. So for any of the agents that are watching, or even any of our lenders, you guys can become, when you're partners with so a loan officer and or a lender and an agent partner up on some of these open houses, you could share those leads to one another. So then it doesn't matter who starts the landing page. It could be filtered where then the email goes out from both of you. So then it doesn't get lost, you know?
And I love sharing in the notes.
Yes.
So if one of us talks to somebody and we don't have time to call and be like, hey, I just talked to so-and-so, type it in the notes and we each can see it in the notes. And honestly, I mean, that's just another reason as a loan originator, I keep Wise Agent. I mean, I love it. You guys, there's so many reasons. I mean, your support is incredible. However, like I love to tell, especially newer realtors, you know, if you don't have a CRM, you need to look at Wise Agent and I can teach you how to use it. So if we have other like affiliates watching this right now, it's a huge way to build the relationship with the realtor. When you could show a realtor how to use the CRM system, it adds a lot of value. And then I also tell them, if you use Wise Agent, we can do the outside team member thing. We can each write notes and we could see what's happening in conversations that we're not a part of. And it's a great communication tool with my realtor partners when we're working with the same buyer. Yeah.
I love that. So, and if for those of you that posted, I think it was like Noreen and Michael and a couple of other of you that had posted saying that you're not currently, but you should be, this is like a good cue for you. If you're using Wise Agent, you can ask, you know, your lender, like to say, hey, would you be interested in using this other service? So then we can share this, because it does like and I love what you said that there's, you know, it's all about the numbers. It's having more people there to help you out for safety reasons. Somebody even posted in here for safety and for financial answers. So there's sometimes where like, hey, it would be great if it was a lender was here because maybe I'm a first-time home buyer or I have a house to sell and how am I going to bridge the two, right? To sell.
And there's always questions about what's happening in the market and what's happening with rates. I mean, that's the number one question, you know, are rates going to go down soon? Are rates going to keep going up? You know,
I know everyone wants that crystal ball of what's going to happen tomorrow. And,
I want that crystal ball.
I haven't found anyone that has it yet, but I love that, you know, that's something that you can tag team to do that, because it is all about providing that value and having that information available to them, because people are more likely to give you their contact information if they're going to be receiving something of value. They want that. I mean, like why you're doing the giveaway, because people are they're more compelled to fill out a form if there's even a possibility of them getting it, right?
Right. And you know, it's funny when you're at like events like this with a vendor table, sometimes when people see mortgage or they see real estate, they're like, oh, I'm not buying a house right now. Right. And they literally will sometimes like lean back, you know, and I say, oh, however, we're giving away a gift card. Like today we have a Home Depot card and a Target card. And I'm like, you know, you don't have to be buying a house to win the card. And then they let their guard down. And while they're typing in their information or filling out if it's a paper form, that's where I get to engage in conversation and I get to start asking, so do you own your home now? You know, and how long have you lived there? You know, and I just start asking questions just to create conversation. And like you said at the beginning, it's about learning about them so that I can build the relationship so that later the business will come. So I ask questions just to learn about them and create a conversation so they don't feel like I'm there just to sell them something.
Right, exactly. And it's not always about that. I mean, the relationship is built over time. It's not like you meet somebody and then the very next day you're at the closing table or even signing an agreement for a listing or anything else. It takes time. There's a little bit of an evolution there. There's some time that needs to build up that the trust factor, the getting to know them and everything else that goes in it. I mean, there's time there, and you want to be able to give, you know, you want to know what to say. So then when you say something, I know when we were talking about this, one of the things is sometimes you were saying like, oh, well, you go into it of, these are all the things that I can offer. And, you know, and then it's like, oh, that's fantastic. I'm okay though, because you didn't mention the one thing that I was looking for. So I'm going to just keep going. Right. So, I mean, there's something to that too, is finding out what it is that their needs are. Because when you find out what the person that you're talking to, what their needs are, you might serve that need, but you left it out in your spiel. And so now they're just like, well, I guess you can't help me. So thanks for trying.
Yes, there's a saying I wholeheartedly believe is the power of your results comes from the power of your questions. So when you ask the right questions, you will, like you're saying, like people have said, find a need and fill it. Well, the only way you're going to find the true need is by asking the questions. And the better your questions, the better your results will be. And you're so right. Like I have seen people come to the table with a canned presentation and they're telling me how great they are and telling me, oh, use me for this, use me for that. And like you said, the one thing, right, what I need. And most people are listening with an ear of, there's an acronym with them. And I talk about this in my book a little bit, but what's in it for me? And so the questions are to get out what do they need so that the answer is what's in it for them.
Right. Exactly. And so, I mean, that's a big thing. There was a question saying like, how do I give me some information regarding people magnets? And I'm like, I don't know what you consider like a people magnet, but I would say like a people magnet is when you ask questions, like people are going to stick around to answer. Most likely, especially if you're coming from a place of trying to serve, they're going to be attracted to that.
Yeah. And, like when I think of a people magnet, right? Like I think of somebody, have you ever gone into a room where there's a lot of people and you're kind of like surveying the room and you see somebody that has a lot of people that have gravitated to them and they're talking to them, right? That's a person that I would say is a people magnet. And you're right. When people ask questions, right? It's like, who do you want to be around? And then ask yourself, why do you want to be around them? Right. Most of the time it's because they care. You want to be around people who care about you. And when you ask people questions about themselves, they feel, if you're listening, right, to the answer, you're not just asking to ask, but you're listening to the answer, they'll feel heard and they'll feel cared for. And most people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so asking the questions to show you care, to show there's a genuine interest, like you said, to show you want to serve, to figure out how and where you can best serve, then the people are going to start coming to you. The referrals are going to come to you. You're not always having to go out and search for your business because you're going to attract your business and you're going to attract the referrals.
Right. And then to take it to the next step too, is that when you not only just attract them, right? Because there's one thing like, okay, I got my hands full with all these people and all these clients, but then it's about serving them and then providing the information that you're promising, right?
Yes.
Giving them the information and coming up with that follow-up of, hey, so we had this conversation and maybe you had that conversation with 10 people and it went one way, kind of, just because naturally it progressed in about rates or about whatever. And then this other direction, it was more about, what the best neighborhood is to get a return on your investment. And so you can create the same type of message, but like tweak just like one or two sentences and talk like about the interest rates over here and about the right neighborhood over here or whatever it is. And
back to repurposing. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And so then it's not just about attracting them, but what do you do once you have them? I mean, I know people that have, 40, 50,000 people in their database. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, great for you. Are you doing anything with that? What are you doing to reach out to them? Because just hoarding people doesn't
do anything.
Doesn't do anything for your business. I mean, you're not going to make more money because you've got more people in your database.
Right.
That's not how it equates.
Exactly. So it's all about that consistency in the follow-up, consistency using the drip campaigns. However, the drip campaigns is a piece, and that could, in a sense, be a little bit of a set it and forget it. At the same time, using the calendar and getting the reminders for the phone calls, getting the reminders of when to touch certain people, because it is so easy to meet someone, add them in the database and forget and realize, oh, wow, it's been 6 months since I talked to that person. However, if we use the calendar and we use the reminders, right? As soon as I log into Wise Agent, boom, it pops up, right? Or now in the morning, I get like, the morning
Yeah.
reminders. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and I also mentioned this in my book, because learning from experience, like I said, the book talks about like when I did things that were ineffective and how I switched to making them effective. And when I first started building through relationships, I would get the relationships and I wouldn't necessarily ask for the business. And I learned that I could have people that are great friends that if I don't ask for the business, they don't necessarily know I really want it. They might think, oh, you have enough. Or, oh, you're so busy all the time. You don't need my business too, or they don't understand or realize how we work and that we work on commission. And, we want to help our family and our friends. We want to make sure that, they're not going to somebody else who's not going to take as good care of them. Because it's not just about the commission, it's about taking care of our people, right? They don't know that if we don't tell them that. So I, throw in at the end of some emails or at the end of some text messages, maybe not every, however, a lot, like kind of a PS, right? A little bit of sometimes Brian Buffini's line of, I'm never too busy for your referrals, or, my greatest compliment is a referral, or please remember to reach out if a mortgage or real estate need comes up. Like, make sure we're asking for the business and not just building relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. Because you have to do both simultaneously. So it's about the building of the relationship and kind of showing and giving an example of what you do, but then also saying like, hey, so this is how I can help you. And it goes back to that servant mindset where if you're serving them, if you're able to provide that help, that, just that one thing of, I'm your go-to person for that, for whatever it is, right? Like I know I have a group of friends here locally that they're like, anytime they get a new phone or get a new computer, I'm their go-to person. They're like, hey, can you come over and help me? My kid just got a new phone. Can you help me transfer? Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I become their go-to person for technology. And so you want to be that go-to person for your people that you're building a relationship with on, buying or selling properties, that's.
And sometimes I even say that in my email, like, I want to be the first person you think of when it comes to mortgages. Yeah. Please reach out with any of your needs or friends or family's needs. Yeah. And sometimes I'll say, do you want to make sure that your friends and family were treated as good as you were? I'm here to make sure they are also taken care of.
Yeah. And that's like, and once you do that, have that, I don't know if it's necessarily a balance, but that harmony of where you have, you're building the relationship and the business is coming alongside with it, then sometimes you don't even have to ask for that business because now they're just used to it. Like, hey, so Ellicia, this is what's going on. Like, I'm seeing all my neighbors are like refinancing or selling or doing whatever. Like, what, can you come over for a cup of coffee? Because I want to talk to you and bring some of your lemons because, I want to, and then come over and let's talk about this. Like, that's what you want. You want, you want them to say like, hey, come over for a cup of coffee or lunch, or let's go meet somewhere so we could talk about what I'm seeing around me. So then you become that expert and you build that expertise through your relationships and through your business. So then all that referral stuff keeps coming through. That's that's all the fun stuff. Right.
Definitely. You never want to be in that position where somebody says, oh, you're still doing that.
Yeah. Like, oh, I didn't know. I would have asked you to help me, but I didn't know you were doing that. I thought you were, every time we talk, you talk about how you're so busy. So I just thought you were too busy for even me. So like years ago, I stopped saying like people, friends would say, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm busy. I stopped saying that because yes, I have maybe a lot of things going on, but that doesn't, when you say I'm busy, that people take that as in like, you can't handle anything more. And they might not reach out to you. So even making sure that your message is clear, that you are able to handle more business. You might not be able to, like host a party of 100 people, but but you could do this or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully my book release party will have close to 100 people. No.
Well, I hope I get an invitation. I told you the
You
other day,
are
I love,
invited.
yeah, I'm like, I don't really tell people I love, like, I have a whole thing of like
You
autograph
are
books.
invited. And I'm actually having it at my house. And I know I told you that very often once I start doing business with people and they become friends, I invite them to parties. So
That's
just to
awesome.
text me or send me an email or whatever for the address and I'll send it
Absolutely.
back.
Absolutely, I will. And I know Sarah, she's moderating all of this conversation. She can share your contact information so people can reach out to you to see, you know, what the name of the book, and maybe Sarah, you can put the name of the book in there again, and
Yeah.
March 16th at 10 a.m. So make sure
Yes.
on
Love
Amazon
your
at 10
business,
a.m.
love your life. Yep.
Yes.
And you can Google, I mean, not Google, sorry, Amazon search the
Yeah.
title of the book, Love Your Business, Love Your Life, or Amazon search my name. And honestly, when it first comes out, if you're a type of person that reads books on devices, you will be able to download it for free. The print version won't come out till March 19th. That'll be $10, $9.99. However, the downloadable for the first 3 days will be free. The first hour is the most that I would appreciate the downloads in. But yeah,
Awesome.
you can get it free in the very beginning.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. And I love books, and I love getting to meet authors of books. It's always fun for me. Another little hobby that I have, little thing that I do. But anyways, awesome. Thank you so much, Ellicia, for sharing all of this information with everyone. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to support Ellicia and her book, so Love Your Business, Love Your Life, March 16th on Amazon, you can also reach out to her. I know you are in our Facebook community as well, right?
Yes.
I believe you are.
I am.
So yeah, you can even find her in our Facebook community and reach out to her there and ask questions. So we will, you know.
And I'm on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn. I should be easily accessible.
Yes. Yes. So thank you so much for being here and taking a small part of your day out. I know you're at an event, and so you carved this time out for us. I really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate everyone watching. Next week I will be traveling, so I'm not going to be on the webinar series, but on March 8th, I will have my friend Billy Parrott on at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're going to be talking with Billy. She's fantastic. She's an agent out of Montana. I met her a couple of years ago at an NAR event. And so we're going to be chatting next week, or in 2 weeks, with Billy. So on March 8th. So thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Ellicia, so much.
Thank you for having me. I was honored to be on today.
Yes, I will see you at your book launch party. So I'll see you there.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.